11 species of hummers that have been seen in Mississippi during the winter months, and that's an exciting thing to think about. Well, Lance, what's going on outside with the weather today? Can we expect a lot of listeners and callers today, or are people going to be...
Well, it's all over the place as far as there's not a huge egg bowl today.
Right.
So we'll have a lot of folks that'll probably be looking forward to a week of rivalry and wondering if Lane Kiffin is going to be leaving or what's going on out there. So I believe we'll probably have a busy day. Whether they text in or not, you never know, because people may be out there already going, I got to get stuff done today.
Right.
They just have it turned on. So, wherever you are, you can listen to SuperTalk Mississippi on SuperTalk Digital Media News, anything you want. It's right there. So as far as the weather goes, it's not going to be a bad day across the state. It'll be a little milder on the northern front, and down on the coast, probably it'll be probably the warmest down on the coast. As far as rain goes, it looks like rain, but for the most part, it should burn off if there is anything going on in the morning hours, and gradually becoming sunny through the day. In most places, the Delta will probably be up to about 76. You got opening morning for deer season is today.
Yeah.
So it should be a beautiful morning, and I'll kind of highlight the Delta because it's about the same way all the way around. High near 76, west winds of about 5 to 10 miles an hour. Through the evening, some increasing clouds, a little bit of wind, low around 50 degrees tonight, and then Sunday mostly cloudy, gradually becoming a little more sunny, and then 70 degrees. So that's about what it looks like around the state. It's one of those copy and paste deals. So I'll be doing the Delta weather and Jackson area weather here before I get out of here today, looking for Monday. So Monday, you're looking at a partly sunny day around 75. So we still haven't gotten out of winter summer in Mississippi yet, but
not
eventually
yet.
we will. Yeah, eventually it'll come.
Isn't it supposed to hit real soon, though?
If you look at the 10-day forecast out a little bit, it just depends. For a couple of weeks, looked at it, and it was upper 60s into the 80s. Now we're still all the way out to the 6th of December, highs of around 65. And that's, again, a statewide outlook, not necessarily looking at a specific locale. So in some areas it may be a mildly, a little more than that, and then in other areas a little bit below. But 76s, 77s, 64s, 70s, that's what it's looking like over the next couple of weeks. And as well, there will be some showers mixed in there during the next couple of weeks as well.
Sure.
So that, we're at that point of year where we probably need a little bit of rain and hadn't had a lot of it. So
right.
So kind of keep your eyes peeled. The mornings have been a little foggy. As you know, the cool air and the warm day starting up kind of mix, and people have experienced fog. So if you're seeing that out there early in the mornings, guys, be careful driving to work. That's one of those dangerous things that you'll see. You'll think you're going just fine, then all of a sudden, and that's the way it is around here in these low spots, is the fog. So watch out for fog is what I would kind of say.
Okay.
Hold on. My dog's coming to say hello to you.
Oh, I've got him.
Okay.
I've got him. He's doing a great job here.
He knows you're a Birdman.
Of course. Bird dogs and Birdmen go together. It's a great day. Listen, I am so excited to be with y'all today. It's just a gorgeous day out there, and I'm glad it's not going to be raining, Lance, because I am going to be announcing 4 soccer matches today. It's a fantastic big day at Madison Central. A lot of you know that I am a retired now teacher from Madison Central High School. A long career of 42 years, and I enjoyed every minute of it, loved teaching. I'm back in the classroom right now teaching at Rosa Scott High School, which is the 9th grade high school of Madison Central. And one of my former students called me up and asked me to come and teach her students while she was out on maternity leave. So I'm back in the classroom just as soon as state law would allow me to be back in the classroom. And Lance, I understand there's a reason for that state law, but I don't get why it is set up the way it is. I had to wait until November 5th before I could move back into the classroom to substitute. So the kids that had her, she had her baby a little earlier than expected, and the students that had her had to wait 4 weeks to get a certified teacher into the classroom because there just aren't any in science. And it doesn't seem right that kids should be 4 weeks without a certified teacher to help them learn, and especially in a tested subject. I don't know if I'm getting myself or the school district in trouble here by talking about this, but you would think our legislature would want our kids to be well taught and well prepared, and it's a little tough. But I'm enjoying being back in the classroom, but that's not what we're going to talk about this morning. Those of you that know me know that I taught zoology and biology and AP biology and advanced biology and honors biology throughout my career, along with some anatomy and physiology and a few other things. And we're going to talk this morning about gardening for the birds, gardening for wildlife. And I tell you what, there is some stuff absolutely hopping in South Texas, and that's something that I am really excited about. I may even have to talk to my gorgeous wife and see if she'll let me get away. Right now, there are 4 life birds for me. That's a bird species I've never seen before. 4 life birds for me in one county in Texas. And I have not seen more than 1 life bird in a trip inside the United States in well over a decade. So if I could drive down to South Texas, I could pick up 4 of them. Birds are creatures of habit, and once they settle into an area, they'll stay there for quite a while. And I know exactly where all 4 birds are and where they have been for quite some time. So excited about that possibility. This morning, we want to talk about what's going on in your yard. What are you seeing? What's happening out there? I'd love to know if you have questions about gardening for the birds, birding, bird feeding. Any questions you have, we'll be glad to talk about them. And, of course, we usually get off into discussions about snakes and bats and deer because the deer get into people's gardens and like to eat things. And we'll talk about what deer like and what they don't like. I just recently, and I'm really excited about this, just recently found an entire article on deer-resistant plants that you can plant in shade gardens. And that's always something people always want to find color for shade. You know, it's hard to find something colorful for shade gardens, and I think hostas are one of the go-to plants. But deer love hostas, and they will just snack down on them. And I live in a city, a section of the city of Madison, where fortunately we're not slammed house to house next to each other. And I live in a more suburban, well, almost semi-rural kind of area that has large open lots, and we're kind of like out in the country. It's a great country kind of feel. So I've got the deer, and I was excited to learn about these beautiful, colorful flowers that I can put in my yard and have really nice shade gardening. I'm excited. I just need to find somebody that can help me till some soil and get those things in the ground, because I'm no longer physically able to do that kind of work with my back issues the way it is. But I can still go birding, and we want to talk to you about birding and what's on. Lance, I just noticed this bottom screen's not on, so I don't know how to find who our callers and whatnot are.
That's not in use anymore, so I'll just have to let you know when we have a caller. I'll
or an email, text message, whatever.
Yeah, we'll get you text set up if you have not at the top there. I'll come in there in a minute and get that done.
You know how it is when we get to be 65, and I only do this once every few weeks, or sometimes it's a few months in between gigs when I come in, but I don't know where your texting system is on this particular screen. I've never opened it up. It's always been open when I got here, so not wanting to mess anything up.
No, I'll keep you posted on that.
All right.
We get to break.
That sounds good, because we want to talk to you this morning. The number to call is 888-808-8637. That's 888-808-8637. That's the SuperTalk call line. You can send us a text, and Lance will forward that to me for a little while here until we get the screen set up. And the text number is 601-879-4395. That's your C Spire text line. Please don't text and drive. We want you to be safe and want your loved ones to be able to enjoy you all holiday season long and well for the rest of the time that you have here on earth, because that's a wonderful thing to do, is to have family. And I'm realizing, oh my goodness, here it is. This just broke. It just hit my phone just now. I don't know how many folks out there are familiar with Wisdom. Lancer, have you heard of Wisdom?
Is this like an app or something? Or?
No, this is a bird.
Oh, no, I don't know.
Wisdom is now 75 years old, and Wisdom has just been sighted. She's a Laysan albatross, and she has just been sighted at Midway Island out in the Pacific, famous from World War II. Excuse me. Midway is now pretty much abandoned except for a few things. And there is a ranger station out there. She has returned at the age of 75 for nesting. She is the oldest known wild bird in existence. She was first banded way back in the 1950s. And I want to say 1954 or 56, one of those years in there. But she has been coming back to Midway Island every year since then to lay eggs and breed. And she has had so many eggs laid, just an absolute marvel. So those of you out there that are fond birders, Wisdom is back. And it's always great to see a return of Wisdom to what's going on, if you'll pardon the double entendre there.
That's an amazing story, though. And I've been reading a little bit more and watching a little bit more in the documentary world about the South Pacific and the Pacific, a lot of the airfields that the United States had used.
Right.
Tiananmen is one that they're rebuilding now. I think
Yes.
they're about 18 months into resurfacing and all that. It took them 8 months to build it back in the day, but we were at war speed. It is fascinating, though, all of the little islands, this being one, during everything that's going on out there, a huge war, you see this bird.
Absolutely.
The albatross. And if you play golf, you know that the albatross is a very difficult.
It's a good thing in golf.
Thing to get, but it is a good thing. And so as a kid, I was always, everything was named after a bird.
Right,
The
birdie,
double
eagle.
the eagle, the albatross, and I always wondered why the albatross? And it's because it's rare.
Rare
and special. And
it's
good.
a long shot.
Long shot, exactly. So now you know the rest of the story. But no, it is.
May
the
I?
albatross is a.
May I?
Yeah.
Hello, Americans. This is Paul Harvey with the news.
Nailed that, man.
Hey, I used to do it. I wasn't sure I could do it.
This is Paul Harvey, and I'm not. I can't.
And
do
now
it.
you know.
And now you know.
The rest of the story.
He had such
Page
a
2.
unique. how
Yes, he did. He did.
You make his voice go up and down, and it was just perfect. I mean, I love listening to that guy.
Okay, so wisdom is back. We were going to talk about several things here this morning. One of those, I'd like to discuss what is happening down in South Texas. Now, this is another one that's going to get me in trouble because I have fairly conservative beliefs in so many areas, but I am all on board as a person of science. I'm all on board with what's going on with climate change and how it's being affected. And I have to tell you, right now, there are 4 birds down in South Texas that I am just I'm chomping at the bits. That's the saying. I'm chomping at the bits to take some time off and get down there and hope that they'll stick around a little bit. There is a red-footed booby. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of blue-footed boobies, but there is a red-footed booby down in the area near Corpus Christi, and I am just absolutely thrilled about that. I saw my first blue-footed booby in Texas, and at that time it was the first booby that had been seen, the first blue-footed booby that had been seen in the mainland United States. When I saw it back in the late 80s, early 90s, I'd have to get the exact date, but that is a remarkable bird. Think of blue-footed booby and then stick red feet on it, and you've got the red-footed booby. If you look that up, Lance, and look at it on the screen, it's a gorgeous bird.
Beautiful bird. The question I have is, what makes and why are birds rare? Obviously, the albatross, the red-footed booby, the blue, these are rare birds. But why are they
not
rare?
that they're rare per se. It's that they're rarely seen here. Okay, a rare bird alert, and that's a great question. Our listeners may be wondering about that. A rare bird alert goes out when something that is rarely ever seen or has never been seen in the ABA area or in the United States. And if something shows up, for example, let's just say a blue throat, which is an Asian bird, but has now become a little bit not difficult to find, but a little bit easier to find. I'm not saying that right. It's not commonly found. Let's just put it that way. And they're showing up in Alaska on a more regular basis now. And if you know where to go, you can find blue throats, which, again, are Asian birds. There are only a few spots in the entire area of Alaska where you can find bristle-thighed curlews, and another Asian bird, which is found only in a very, very few locations in the mountains of Alaska. There are so many things that are starting to show up in the southern parts of the country that are normally found in Central and South America, but the temperatures that we have are warming up to the point where birds are able to stay in the south that are northern birds that normally migrate down to Central America, or birds that are found in Central America are moving up as our temperatures are moving up, and they're finding that they can survive up here when previously they could not because it was too cold. So we're getting a situation where the birds that fly south because it's too cold for them down there are moving down and staying here instead of going further south. And we've got birds from the south that are able to move up because it's getting warmer and they can stay in our warmer atmosphere. It's a kind of a two-edged sword that is actually working to put more birds in our area that are not normally found. And when these things are popping up, they show up on the rare bird alert. Also being found down in South Texas right now is a mottled owl. And that one I've got to see. A fork-tailed flycatcher. I have seen one of those in my entire life, another South American bird. And then a cattle tyrant, which is a beautiful flycatcher, also from South America, from Panama South. We'll talk about all of those when we come back. We're going to take a break and get right back with you. You're listening to Ken Hackman, the Birdman, right here on SuperTalk Radio. And we're back right here. Mama told you not to come. Mama told me to come this morning, and I'm so glad she did. For those of you that are just tuning in, this is Ken Hackman, the Birdman, filling in for Garden Mama. If you were looking for her voice, she is taking a well-deserved break, and I'll be here with you until 10 o'clock this morning. We're going to be talking about gardening for the birds, gardening for wildlife, and we already have a texter that wants to know about squirrels. So we're going to break from our talk about southern Texas birds here on Mississippi Super Talk and go to Andrea in Madison. She would love to know if I've got any ideas on how to get rid of the squirrels. Her comment is that she's sick of them digging in her plants. They are digging primarily for acorns that they probably stashed earlier. It's that time of the year where they're looking for food for the winter. Now, it's also possible, depending on what plants you have planted, Andrea, it's also possible that they could be actually eating bulbs. If you've got some bulbs in there, they are known to eat some bulbs. There aren't many plants that they like to eat unless it's producing a particular fruit or food for them. As far as bird feeding goes, we always get rid of the squirrels by feeding them a super group of foods that you can buy at. And I'm going to go ahead and mention Wild Birds Unlimited in Jackson. There's a Wild Birds Unlimited up in South Haven. There are several. I don't know of any other birding specialty shops around, but there's several places that carry this wonderful seed that is sold at Wild Birds Unlimited that is just about guaranteed to keep the squirrels away. I have heard of one in thousands and thousands of squirrels that will actually eat the stuff, but that's a very rare occasion. And what that deals with is squirrels that obviously are born without taste buds or something. You can now get a special seed at Wild Birds Unlimited that has a pepper coating to the seed, and squirrels find it extremely hot. They kick it out, they won't mess with it, and they won't come back. The birds have no taste buds. It doesn't bother them whatsoever, and they eat it right on down. It's a fantastic product that's available there, and that's what I would recommend to keep them out of your feeder is that hot seed, pepper seed from Wild Birds Unlimited. There are lots of things on the market that are wannabes. You have to be careful. I'm very careful about where I get seed for my feeders, and I can assure you that I haven't bought any seed anywhere but there in probably over 20 years. That's an amazing line. I keep looking to see if there's any closer to me, but I'll be honest with you, I make that trip all the way to Jackson and get my seed at WBU because that's just the only place I want to go to get it. That's not meant to be an advertisement. That's meant to tell you that seed is that good. And that's what I use. It's wintertime, which means it's time to be getting seed out for the birds anyway. They've got to have so much in the way of food and nourishment, nutrition. Oh, wow, look at that. In their diet, that looks like a roost of cattle egrets or little blue herons or snowy egrets. What is that, Lance?
It is a group of photos that Mark took. Mark Peaches, I should say, heated pool. It looks to me like over in the Brandon area where he might have been doing some work, and he has sent us quite a few pictures of ducks and birds and things that are apropos for the show today.
Okay.
So that was, I believe that was Crossgates Lake. It looked like it to me.
The ducks that I saw up there were all domesticated muscovies and whatnot. I didn't see any. Well, those are Canada geese right there. For those of you that don't know, we are streaming live at supertalk.fm, and you can watch the show as well as listen to it. If you see my other side, I have to figure out where I am on the radio. The picture is backwards for me.
It's always opposite. That's tough, too, when you're trying to do it.
It's tough when you're trying to figure out where to put the microphone. There we go.
I'm just so ugly, I don't look at the TV, so it didn't make a difference. You know.
Well, I resemble that remark. I'm not only ugly, I'm bald and fat to go with it. But we enjoy having people watch and be able to see the photos. There's a mallard drake along with some muscovy ducks, and it looks like there's even been a little hybridization going on, which I'm not a fan of muscovies. I know people put them in and buy them and love them, but I'm not a fan of invasive species or hybridizations mixing in with our wild flocks. I know that's how some things evolve, but I'm just personally not a fan of the hybridized. There's a nice picture of a mallard drake. There are some, and if you want to see pictures of birds, ladies and gentlemen, there are some fantastic groups on Facebook. There's a Mississippi Bird Photography Facebook page, some absolutely phenomenal shots by Michelle Turner on there. He's one of the best in the business. And shockingly, he just puts them out there on the internet. I stopped putting my shots on the internet, and I'll tell you, he's better than I am for sure. But I stopped putting my shots on the internet many years ago when I was paging through a magazine and found one of my pictures in the magazine that I took, and somebody else got paid for it because they got it off the internet. That's something that I just don't do anymore. I don't put my shots online. There's a couple of them out there if you know how to find them. There's a photograph, actually, that somebody else took of me with a great gray owl on my camera lens. He was hunting from my lens, and I'm standing there with this great gray owl on my lens. If you Google Ken Hackman Birdman and look hard enough, you'll find the photograph of me with the owl on my lens. It's grainy and pixelated because it was a little thumbnail. I have the original photo, but I'm not putting that out there anywhere. But just some phenomenal things going on in the country right now. You know, Andrea, talking about those squirrels, I'm just wondering, do you feed the birds at all? If you can text back and let us know, I'd be interested to find out whether you feed the birds at all and if that's attracting the squirrels. It might be that just switching to a different seed would solve your problem. If you don't feed the birds and it's just the squirrels coming to dig in your garden, it really may be just that they're after the acorns that they have already buried there. I'd like to know if they're doing actual damage to the plants. I can answer your question a little bit better if I know whether they're doing actual damage to the plants. If you'll text back and let us know, I'd love to know that. we have several other things we can talk about this morning, and we'll see if Andrea gives us a little return answer there. Here's David from Texas, and he was putting mulch out around his house yesterday. Heard some high-pitched sounds, and David, I got to tell you, I love the sound of a bald eagle, but it's amazing. Everybody sees them on TV, and they hear this long, majestic screech that they give, and it's not the sound of a bald eagle. It's the sound of a red-tailed hawk. Those high-pitched sounds are very interesting. Two bald eagles within 100 feet flying around chasing each other. Yes, you know what they're doing, David. You know what they're doing. It's mating season for those guys. And that is fantastic. Wren, Mississippi, west of the Tombigbee River near Amory. And he sent a picture of the two eagles that he saw. The pictures are eagles that he saw of Lake of Pines in East Texas. But evidently he's got property in both Texas and in Amory. And we're glad that you gave us that shot. Beautiful pictures of bald eagles right here in the state of Mississippi. The good news is that our bald eagle population is growing, and it's increasingly growing, and that was from the Department of Repetitive Redundancy Department, Lance. Our bald eagle population is doing well here in Mississippi now that we've gotten rid of the DDT. They're slowly coming back, and actually their numbers are coming back nicely. The one thing that they need that we are not helping with is that they need old, tall, strong trees to nest in. And it's getting to the point where there are enough of them that they're having trouble finding some of those trees in some parts of the state. I know they're nesting out at Lake Caroline. They're nesting in a couple of places at the Ross Barnett Reservoir. I usually don't give specifics on where they're nesting because we don't want them interrupted in any way. We don't want to take away from the possibility that they will be successful in their reproductive processes. Beautiful bird, the bald eagle. There's a little story, and it's kind of questionable about whether it's true or not. Ben Franklin wanted our national bird to be the wild turkey, and so the saying goes that he was very loathsome about the bald eagle and thought that they were terrible, terrible creatures because they are scavengers. They rarely hunt. They prefer taking dead floating fish off the top of the water. And if they can't do that, they are known to take ducks and live fish, but they prefer finding fish that are up near the surface that are not doing so well. And there's enough of those out there if the lakes are producing properly. So that's a great thing to have available to them is a lot of food. My phone has just picked up every word that I'm saying and recording it. I don't know how this happened. I didn't mean to touch my phone, but evidently I touched it, and I'm recording everything I said.
I have a question. I'm seeing a lot of vultures, buzzards.
Vultures, thank you.
Yeah. Well, just for the people out there that know are listening, what you would consider a buzzard. I've seen a lot of groupings lately, and I would say in the probably 10 to 15, getting into the dead pine trees that are still around. And my question to you is, what are they attracted to? Is it the bugs and the beetles and the things in there? But because I thought they were meat eaters predominantly.
They are scavengers. They're meat eaters, and they're going to go to dead carcasses. They're very fond of finding dead carcasses on the side of the road. Human travel has helped to increase the number of vultures. They are not buzzards. Buzzards are hawks. And my thought is, and it's speculation on my part, I've heard this from other people, my thought is that Audubon or somebody else that carries out the names of vultures, the names of birds, may have seen them soaring in the sky and thought that they were buzzards, which are hawks in that's one of the terms for hawks in England and Europe. May have thought that they were hawks circling overhead here in the United States and called them buzzards, but they are indeed vultures. They're sort of related to storks as well, and they're flesh eaters. They'll eat decaying and carrion and dead flesh, and it's really important that we protect them because they're the best cleaners that we have for our roads and highways, their numbers have increased as the number of carcasses from roadkill have increased, and they do a good job of cleaning that up for us. Think about how nasty our roadways would be if they didn't, because there's a lot of disease in a dead carcass, and that's all they eat. They don't eat anything else other than dead flesh.
They're good at it.
They're very good at it.
Like I said, I'm with all of the dead pines. My question: we got about 4 or 5 that are kind of back in the woods, and they love sitting on those limbs and moving them around and breaking them, and then they'll just fall down. I mean, big limbs.
Well, they'll break them.
It seems like they're having a big time. Is what I'm saying. It seems fun for them because it's been going on for about a week or two.
Yeah, and
something's going on, and it's this time of year every year. Get a nice grouping. 15.
Well, they roost at night in trees that are dead, so that they can see anything that's coming.
That was my question.
They prefer to be where they can see anything that's coming. You'll find them a lot on cell phone towers. I know a lot of high school football stadiums and college football stadiums around the state have them on top of the light towers at night. They prefer to be where they can see anything that's coming. And that's just the way they naturally spend the evenings. And that's what they're doing is nesting in those spots.
It sounds like to me.
Roosting in those spots.
Yeah, they're coming in midday to late, and they're kind of
late afternoon.
Yeah, late afternoon. They're breaking up stuff and having a big old time. Then they'll fly off and come back, and they'll go over to another pine tree.
Well, some of that is probably unintentional. As they come in and land on a branch, they can hear it cracking, and they'll be flying up and down like, I don't want to do this. Yeah. Yes, they are big.
The one we had out in the courtyard, we still have a family that will roost up and nest up and have a baby or two, usually 2.
In the courtyard?
In the courtyard.
Wow.
And I believe now they're doing it up on the roof. I believe we've tried to move them because
that's more natural.
But they had a corner over here for 5, 6, 7 years with the same one. They come back, and then the babies would come back and watch over mama. So I've really enjoyed watching the vulture grow from a chick to a full bird. They're such regal creatures.
They are much more majestic than people realize, and I think they should be appreciated more than they are.
I agree. I love them. I mean, they're just so unique.
Yeah, they really are. And I learned to start paying attention to all of them because we've got some birds that are found in the South especially. There's a bird called the zone-tailed hawk that can be found. And if you're not careful, you might miss seeing a zone-tailed hawk by just glancing and thinking it's a turkey vulture. We'll talk more about that when we come back from this break. Ken Hackman, the Birdman, here, filling in for Garden Mama right here on SuperTalk Radio. Give us a call. Good stuff this morning. Who puts together the tunes, Lance?
Oh, I do, but we have quite a few input as well with Nellie, Neal, Garden Mamas.
Oh, I know she loves her music.
We have a grouping there that is just Garden Mama music. So
good.
I'll even throw some of that in during the weekdays.
There you go.
And see if anybody's paying attention. They'll know the difference of Garden Mama's song list, which is very deep and good, and usually some cuts you haven't heard, which I always love. She finds some really good stuff.
She does find some good stuff out there.
So she'll definitely, like every blue moon, she'll like, all right, cut these 5 for me. And she's really good about telling me right where she wants it cut.
Right.
So, yeah, she makes it a lot of fun.
234 in the...
No, 234 to 334. Let's get that clip.
Let's get that
where
clip.
He's going out on this. So, yeah, she's really good at it.
No. It's not a buzzard. Yeah, we'll have to straighten that out. Chad in Van Cleve says it's a buzzard. He's with Lance, and no, Chad.
No, I'm not calling him a buzzard. I'm saying that's what people call them. I know them as the vulture. Now I was a buzzard man before I had an opportunity to get to know a buzzard family, and I went, hey, they want to be called vultures.
Yes.
I talked to them every day. Watched 2 chicks get raised. Became personal. I mean, heartbreaking to watch the little tyke get his first black feather. It's bittersweet.
Yeah. They come out.
Yeah, they come out. Then they're all
And another
feathers.
thing is that it's really easy to see all the processes that take place in altricial birds. Those are birds that normally build their nests up in trees and up high, born naked, without any feathers, that kind of thing. it's easy to see that in larger birds, and I think people can develop an interest more easily when they see it in a larger bird. We've got a question from a caller in Kill. Joe Pettigrew says, did I hear that turkey vultures have one of the best olfactory senses of all animals? Well, Joe, the answer is yes and no. It depends on which vulture you're talking about. Turkey vultures have an amazing olfactory capability. One of my favorite clips in David Attenborough's The Life of Birds series, if you ever get the chance to catch that, the DVDs are available. I don't know whether they're still on Netflix. They're out there on some streaming service. The Life of Birds.
David Attenborough.
David Attenborough. There's a scene where he takes a rotten piece of meat, walks out into the rainforest, finds a spot in the rainforest that's very remote, and buries that meat 6 or 7 inches below the leaf litter so that it can't be seen, and it's covered with dirt and leaves, and he walks off 150 feet or so and hides and waits. And turkey vultures come from a half a mile, 3/4 of a mile away and come down and find that meat. And it's just amazing to see that clip to me. If you've not seen The Life of Birds, it is one of the best things out there.
It is on YouTube for free.
Oh, there you
right
go.
Right now, it looks like it has every episode from The Life of Birds, which was produced about 18 years ago. So
right. It's not new. I've been using it in the classroom forever.
But there are a lot of clips in there, and you should be able to find that. It's a BBC Earth production, so if you're looking for that, as Ken was saying, type in David Attenborough, Life of Birds, or you can look in, I'm sure, the BBC Earth archives, and they'll be right there.
The Life of Birds will do it.
They're right there for you.
Another one that's in there that I find fascinating is a great gray owl that flies 150 feet or so through the trees, in and out through branches, and reaches down through the snow and captures a vole. Or a lemming. I couldn't quite tell which it is. It's one of the two for sure, with the short tail. And it reaches through the snow and captures one that was a foot and a half below the surface that was never seen by the owl, strictly by hearing exactly where it was. Their ears are located on different sides of the head and at different lengths. We can hear left and right very well. And I'm motioning here for the folks that are watching on the live stream. Got my hands up to show. Our ears are here. Owls' ears are offset, and they can not only tell the difference right and left, they can also tell up and down. And that hearing is so well defined and so well developed that they can tell exactly where something is just by hearing without ever seeing it, and break through the snow and catch it. It's amazing to see some of the clips that are in that Life of Birds video.
It's really cool to challenge yourself sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
With the dark, and get in the absolute suffocatingness of the dark. Just sit there, close your eyes in the middle of nowhere,
right,
and listen. I do it in the Delta all the time.
You can do it in the Delta. You can do it in the forest.
It's where I have my land. So it's amazing how you pick up where things are when you're not trying to find them with your eyes. So
and it's amazing to hear things that you never heard before.
Oh, goodness, yeah.
The pictures that we had. The pictures that we had in, I can't remember where they were. They're down here somewhere. The gentleman that sent the pictures, David, I believe it was, that sent the pictures of the bald eagles. Yes,
it was David from Texas.
In Amory. He said he heard this high-pitched sound. People that have never heard bald eagles have no idea what they sound like. And it's a great thing to just sit down and listen to what's out there. Jeff in Grenada wanted to know what the species are for our vultures here in the United States, especially here in Mississippi. And those are the turkey vulture, which the adult has a red head, and the black vulture, where the adults and the young have a black head. The thing you have to be careful of is that young turkey vultures have a black head until they develop that red skin on their head. Vultures have no feathers on their head or neck, and that's to protect them from getting their feathers all matted and caked with the dead material and rotting material that they find as they're scavenging dead flesh. So they really are fascinating creatures to watch and to learn about. As a teacher who has an interest in zoology and the zoological sciences, I like to really stress the fact that these are not buzzards. Buzzards are hawks. And I know that there's no way that I'll ever straighten out folks on a lot of things. I have pet peeves about that one. I've got pet peeves about people calling lady beetles ladybugs. And isopods are not roly-polies. They are isopods. There are several things that students in my class learn very quickly that they can do to just to needle me and get under my skin a little bit. And
why? In a question I've always had in my mind, and I've read a little bit, but why are turkey vultures and the blackheads and most of that species? How can they handle eating rotted and degrading corpses that have so many,
the
negative
acids?
And that's my question: is what is it that makes them different and capable versus other birds of say that size that couldn't handle it?
Okay, I'm going to go somewhere, and this will be fun. I don't know if I have any students listening this morning or not. I mentioned a little while ago that I'm at Rosa Scott, long-term substituting for one of my former students, and the other day, I was trying to prove a point, and I took a chicken nugget. And those of you that are listening out there, I'm not crazy. I knew what I was doing. I took a chicken nugget. I kicked it around the floor for a little while. It was down on the floor for at least a good 5 to 10 minutes. Kicked it around on the floor, let it roll through some dust and dirt and everything else. I picked it up and played with it. I actually had a student take their shoe off. I dropped the chicken nugget in the shoe, and I shook it around a little bit. My wife is going to die when she hears this. Please don't die. I love you. I shook the chicken nugget around in the shoe. I took it out. I blew it off, and I ate it. We have become so concerned about our immunity and our intestinal systems. Oh boy, we're up against a break, and I started talking about this. There's a cliffhanger to keep everybody listening. Come back, and I'll tell you what I did with that chicken nugget, and then we're going to talk about some birds too, right here on Super Talk Radio.
She said her feeders haven't been being used, and she hears some out in the woods but doesn't see them. A few cardinals here and there, and then her sister, who is in Savannah, Tennessee, is experiencing much the same, and she lives out in the country. So Miss Janice was really curious what may be going on out there. She goes, I hope they all don't have COVID.
No, they don't have COVID. COVID's not an issue there. It's issue somewhere else. The thing that we're seeing with seed-eating birds is that there's a lot of food available for them. When we have proper weather, proper situations, then things are normal. When we don't have proper weather, when temperatures are higher, there is a bumper crop of food out there for them in the way of seeds and whatnot. And I think that in general terms, possibly we're seeing some of the increase in temperatures resulting in higher numbers of certain types of seeds and lower numbers in other certain types of seeds. It's hitting various populations of birds differently in each of the cases. So it's an interesting thing to look at. I don't know that if any studies have been done on numbers of birds at feeders vis-a-vis temperature changes. There are a lot of different possibilities out there. We're still in the process of trying to do research to find out so much. Some of my students, former students, and other listeners may know that for 13 to 15 years in there somewhere, I did research with a very little-known bird on Henslow's sparrows. And most of that research is being done just to find out about the bird. We haven't had time, as we're trying to find out more about individual species, to look at overall trends. There is some of that starting to happen as more and more people are concerned about changes in climate and what's happening with our wildlife out there. I won't get into the political discussion on how all of that is happening, but I will say that the change is definitely real. And it is a concern to a lot of us that love our wildlife and love the planet. So, I can't answer her question without knowing exactly what she feeds, exactly what kind of habitat she has, where she buys her seed could possibly be an issue, because sometimes the seed producers get bad seed for a while, and the birds, you get bad seed, and the bird's not going to come back for a while.
They'll go find the good seed.
They'll go find the good seed.
They don't have highways and stoplights.
No, and they don't read.
Yeah.
They don't read, which is part of the whole thing with these birds showing up in Texas. They don't know that they're not supposed to be there. I'm really excited.
They're not looking at it on a map.
No,
Right.
Well, they don't have maps. They have this little brain that's depending on the species of bird, this little tiny brain that's anywhere from the size of a pea to possibly a little larger in something like an eagle. But there's no map there. They follow landscapes. They follow landmarks in some cases. They follow the stars when they're migrating in some cases, and that's an amazing thing. I really enjoy the technology is getting so advanced now that even weathermen are posting on Facebook the number in millions of birds, and they can tell by looking at the Doppler weather radar at night how many millions of birds are in migration, and it's just a phenomenon that's actually taking over a lot of discussion around birds and birding in our country. And I like to go to Dauphin Island every spring in April and May for the bird migration. And now I'm retired, I can actually go down there and stay longer than just 2 days, which I'm kind of looking forward to.
Where do the hummingbirds go when they migrate?
Central and South America.
So they're going to group up in big numbers there, or do they stay spread out like they do here? I got you.
Excuse me. They're spread out. Some birds will migrate in loose flocks, chipping and calling to each other as they go. And a lot of really, really good birders can sit out at night during migration and hear the birds that are going by without ever seeing them. And they can tell you exactly what those little chips are. Nothing more than a chip. As it flies over, and they can tell you exactly what it was. I'm not as good as I'll tell you, one of the best I know in the state of Mississippi is a gentleman by the name of Gene Knight. Lives up in Oxford, and man, that guy has got some ears. Terry Schieffer, Marion Schieffer, I think of some of the birders here in the state. Jason Hexema, J.R. Rigby. There's just some fantastic birders in the state of Mississippi. I just happen to have a little platform. I'm just a little old science teacher from Madison, Mississippi, and I enjoy it tremendously. But I am not the best in the state of Mississippi, that's for sure. I enjoy what I do, and I enjoy spreading my passion to others. And some folks are just a little more reserved about things than that. I really appreciate Garden Mama letting me come on. She has paid me a little bit over the years, and more than a little bit, but she has paid me over the years to fill in for her. But the truth of the matter is, and if she's listening, she's going to hear me say this, the truth of the matter is I come in whether she paid me or not. And I just love doing it when I can. I'm glad to come in. We have somebody that has seen a sparrow with a reddish face near Osaka, and am I familiar with them? Well, it depends. It could be a sparrow. It could be a house finch. You should look up house finch and see if that's your bird, if it's a real red. If it's a rusty red, you could be looking at a fox sparrow, which is a little bit larger than most of the sparrows. My guess right off the bat is that it's probably a house finch, especially if you've just now started feeding birds recently, or if you've just started paying attention to birds recently. House finches have been here for a while. They're not native to Mississippi. They're from west, literally the other side of the mountains in California. They were first sold in pet stores and called Hollywood finches. And they got loose in New York City, as the story goes, and it's quite a legend out there now. And they have taken over the United States, pretty much found everywhere in the U.S. now, except northern parts of Alaska. I believe they've even reached as far north as Anchorage. So I would have to check on that before I could be sure about it. But house finches are very common, and really red is the response from from the caller that is texting in. So I'm going to guess that you're looking at either a house finch. The other possibility is a purple finch, and it's not really purple. It's that really, really red color on the head. The difference between the two is that the purple finch is a solid red with no streaking on the breast, and the house finch is red on the head. The male is anyway, and it's got streaking on the breast. The purple finch, no streaks. The house finch has streaks on the breast, brownish streaks on the breast. So take a look at that and see if you can figure out from that. You might even Google that or whichever browser you like to use. I'm a non-biased searcher. Google, Bing, Safari, whatever you use. See if you can Google house finch or purple finch and see if that satisfies your question about what species it is. And we love that kind of question, ladies and gentlemen. Here's somebody else that is coming in that is chiming in with house finch or purple finch. Don't know who that is, but that's probably what the answer is. And Google that and see if that's it. Let me know if we're right. We love to play a game, and I've been playing it for years, called Name That Bird. And if you can call in or text in, and we love to do it live on the air, we love our callers. Y'all give us a call. The number to call is 888-808-8637. That's 888-808-8637. Or you can reach us on the C Spire text line. Please don't text and drive. You can reach us on the C Spire text line at 601-879-4395. That's 601-879-4395. And we'll get to your questions up here. We have a caller that says they've had several barred owls in our area. What are the best ways to build an owl box to keep them around? Well, you can Google owl box, and there are plenty of plans online. You can buy them already made at Wild Birds Unlimited. Owl boxes do work. A number of our owls nest in cavities. The barred owl certainly will, and that's a great one. The barn owl will nest in a cavity, though not commonly. And the great horned owl probably has, and this is great. We've gotten into another area that we don't normally talk about when I'm on the show. The great horned owl is probably our most widely adapted nester in North America as far as owls go. They're found way up in Alaska. They're found all the way down in Central America, from coast to coast, east and west, and they will nest underground. They will nest in cavities in trees. They will nest in old crows or hawks' nests. I've seen them lay their eggs just in the crook between split trunks of a tree. There was a beautiful, beautiful great horned owl that nested about 12 feet off the ground in the crook of a tree on the campus of the Gulf Coast Research Lab. Down there, that's now run by University of Southern Mississippi, down where they're doing a lot of research out in the Gulf of Mexico. Just a phenomenal number of places that great horned owls will nest, and they're probably our most well-adapted nester in the country. So, barred owls. Boy, have we gotten into some great conversations. We'd love to talk to you about what's going on in your yard. We're kind of swinging wide of the normal topics and getting into Adobe Acrobat is playing with me over here on the internet. We've gotten into some discussions about things we don't normally get to talk about. And I have really, really enjoyed that and appreciated that. We want you to call us. Give us a call at 888-808-8637. Again, that's 888-808-8637. Lance will be glad to answer the phone and put you on the air if you're bold enough to do so. If not, you can give us a text, or you can call Lance and ask a question. You can give us a text at 601-879-4395 on our C Spire text line. And I always like to say, please don't text and drive. That's a very important thing to me. I lost a dear friend many years ago, and it was right about the time that texting was first taking place, and I've always wondered, because she was such a careful driver, always wondered if she was not out using her phone. She was somebody that used her phone a lot for her business, and I just wondered if she was driving and using her phone. There are the bald owls that, for those of you that are watching the live stream, there are the pictures that David took of the bald eagles up in Amory. And, it's early on a Saturday morning for a school teacher, so not really. I'm out birding earlier than this most times. Just checking over here and looking at the computer screen to see if we have any more texts. Y'all, this is your show. I want to know what's happening in your backyard. I always have my list of topics that I can go to, and let's take a look at that right now. The winter birds that are coming in. We've got a lot of species that are just now coming into the area. I have already seen the yellow-rumped warblers. A lot of birders call them butterbutts. I've seen the yellow-rumped warblers already. There are reports of red-breasted nuthatches already in the state. We're seeing some birds move in. White-throated sparrows are here. We're seeing birds move in that are only here in the wintertime. I've already seen cedar waxwings. I couldn't get it out. There. It was right there and then wouldn't come. A lot of good winter birds starting to show up in the state, and definitely want to feed those guys and keep them happy. And, of course, realize that if you do feed birds, and I love feeding the birds, it's important to realize that all birds need to eat, and every now and then, here's a beautiful bald eagle out on the Tom Bigby Waterway that was sent in by somebody. Nice shot of a bald eagle out at Tom Bigby. We've got so many beautiful birds in the state of Mississippi. Lance, would you do me a favor? For those folks that are watching, I was showing students and teachers photographs of birds this week that are found right here in the state of Mississippi that people had no idea would talk. For those that are watching the live stream, would you pull up a good photograph, kind of look around and see if you can find a really good photograph of a painted bunting and put that up on the screen. Add that to the photos.
We'll have to do it on the other side.
Okay, sure. Bobby from Monticello, do vultures locate food by sight or smell? We talked about that a little earlier, Bobby. The turkey vulture uses smell, and the black vulture uses sight. Those are our two primary species here in Mississippi. I've never seen any other species here. There are some vultures that live in Central and South America. The lesser yellow-headed vulture and the greater yellow-headed vulture are both very similar to our turkey and black vultures, and possibly more so the turkey vulture could possibly be in the area and never noticed by others because they're so similar. The king vulture is not found anywhere north of Central America, to my knowledge. I've never heard of one being seen in the country. I would have to look that up to be absolutely 100% certain, but I'm 99.9% certain that king vultures have never been seen in the United States. You got a caller on the air?
Well, I have a question from a caller. It was a quick question, and she wanted to listen to your reply rather than be on air. But Mary from Star says she goes up and down Star Road, and she's seen a bald eagle there quite a bit. And she is more curious about whether there are more maybe moving into the area as we've seen,
yes.
seen more.
We always have an influx of bald eagles in the wintertime since the numbers have started building back up around the country following the DDT situation. Every winter, we'll have more bald eagles move south. Bald eagles primarily eat fish, and since the lakes up in the far north freeze over in the wintertime, they move south to find food. On the flip side of that, they also will take ducks. If there's not enough fish available for them, they will try to hunt ducks. They're not as successful there as they are scavenging dead fish out of the water. They'll take ducks on occasions, and the ducks are also moving south for a particular reason, and that is that they can't exist when the lakes are frozen over. So that's one of the reasons why ducks migrate south, is so that they can get down here and find open water. And the colder it is, the further and the more ducks there will be in the south. So that's one of those little relationships that happens temperature-wise. Duck hunters are probably going to see that over the coming years, as the temperatures change and we have more warm weather, duck hunters are probably going to see lesser numbers. Maybe based on a number of different things, but I think that trend is probably going to occur because there will not be as many coming this far south. That's one of the reasons that the Canada goose was introduced down here, to allow southern hunters to hunt them, because they just weren't coming down here many, many years ago. And as temperatures have changed, they're here now. Love this music. We could have a show just sitting here talking about music for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and I think that would be a pretty awesome show.
Well, just come hang out with us.
Lance, you should start that, and then you could sit on the other side of the glass.
I do that a little on Friday night. I don't know. The TV still works,
okay.
So I didn't break it. But no,
okay.
Buddy is the rock and roll handyman for a reason, because he is a musician, playing much, and we do a music segment on the backside of the 11 o'clock hour from 11:06 to about 11:22. So if you're ever interested to tune in, or you want to partake, come hang out with us. It's always
I
a lot
may
of
do
fun.
that sometime. I may do that sometime. We got quite a few text message going on that I need to get to here. One, there we go. First, we've got to answer the chicken nugget question. People wanted me to finish that, and we got carried away with text messages and questions that were called in, and I never finished the chicken nugget question. So the chicken nugget got kicked around the classroom. I shook it around in a shoe. I rubbed it on several different items around the classroom. Then blew the dust off and popped it in my mouth, chewed it up, and swallowed it and ate it. The point that I was making is that we have become so sterile that our immune systems don't work as well as they should, and with the exception of particular vaccines, I'm pro-vaccine. With the exception of particular vaccines, I allow almost anything to affect my system. Part of the reason is probably because I've been teaching for so many years. But y'all, other than getting my allergies from my sinuses, I haven't been sick. I haven't caught anything that I can think of in well over 25, 30 years. I've not caught a common cold. I have not caught anything. I guess I have had some food poisoning, but I've not caught anything contagious from anybody in forever. No flu, no coronavirus, I can't think of any time that I've been sick in 25 to 30 years that wasn't caused by my allergies, or my infirmities, the broken feet, bones, legs, arms, shoulders, everything else that I've had trouble with. Several questions and a comment here. I haven't gotten permission to use a name or location. I'll just say down on the coast, one of our listeners, well-known birder in the state that has a lot of hummingbirds, has already hosted 4 species this year alone down on the coast. Winter hummers include ruby-throat, broad-tailed hummingbird, black-chinned hummingbird, and right now a buff-bellied hummingbird is in his yard. Now, those of you that live up here in the central part of the state that have seen hummingbirds that have a chin that appears black, chances are you were looking at a ruby-throated hummingbird where the sun was not shining on the throat. Those feathers are black, and they reflect red light only when the light hits them in the right place. What is this? Yes, please do. Okay, I have permission to share. That's Jake Pettigrew in Biloxi. Is the one that has the hummingbirds, and as I said, he's known around the state. If I'm not mistaken, it's the Jake that we interact with on Miss Bird. We've got an entire statewide network of bird watchers that are on a server called Miss Bird, and we contact each other and connect with each other, and when there's a rare bird that pops up, we all know quickly because that information is shared. And here's Jake's picture of the buff-bellied hummingbird that's in his yard right now, and that's a big hummingbird. They're much larger than the ruby-throats. If you get one, you'll know you've got it. And the bill is a reddish color up in this part. That's not Here's what I'm doing, Lance. I'm using the cursor to point where the bill is on the screen up in front of me.
Great radio, right?
Great radio, ladies and gentlemen. You're seeing it right here on 97.3 FM.
Try to do math on the radio.
I can math pretty well in the mornings. I love using math and science as verbs, and English. I history pretty well in the morning too. I love doing that.
Yeah, my historian is much better than my mathin'.
Yes, my mathing is probably my weakest area of verbiage. No, we have some interesting things that we say. Yeah, Jake's a great birder down there. You plant the right plants, and y'all, I want to make this clear. And this is actually a topic that we hit on almost every time I'm on the air. I can't remember not talking about it. And Lance, you can back me up on this. That this is one of my mantras. If you build it, they will come. If you have hummingbird feeders up in the wintertime, you may get winter hummers. We've had 11 species, possibly 12 now. Yeah, I think I heard some comments about something else that was seen recently, and I didn't realize that they had been seen. It seems like somebody saw a green violet ear or something of that sort that had been seen in the state that I had been expecting to show up for a while now, but I somehow missed it, and I hate that I missed it because I would have loved to have had that on my state list. Jake, if you're still listening down there, you might be able to give us a clue on green violet ear or one of the violet ear species being seen in the state. But the really interesting thing is, if you leave your hummingbird feeders up, you're not going to keep the poor little ruby-throated hummingbirds here. So many people are afraid to leave their feeders up because they're afraid they'll keep them here and they'll die. Well, the fact of the matter is that there are species that live in cool temperatures up in the mountains of Mexico and the western United States that find our winters to be quite mild and quite comfortable in comparison to their summertime haunts, as it is. And they'll feed all along. And Bob Sargent, who wrote the book on ruby-throated hummingbirds, literally wrote the book, and that's another thing I say quite frequently, found that there are numbers and numbers of birds down here. There's some fantastic people out there that have done work with hummingbirds. Bob Sargent, of course. I'm drawing a blank. Newman down in Louisiana, and I can't believe that I can't remember her first name. I've been to her yard, and it's a fantastic birdie yard, and she goes out and bands hummingbirds all over the place. There are birders that are into that, and y'all, seeing winter hummingbirds in your yard. I've hosted calliope hummingbirds, black-chinned hummingbirds, rufous hummingbirds in the wintertime, and that's all the way up here in Madison, Mississippi. There are a lot of species that you can see. Angela in Cortland wants to give a shout-out to her wild bird store in South Haven. That's Wild Birds Unlimited. She says the employees are welcoming, friendly, and are great at educating about birds and their products. I have to tell you, Angela, that's true of every Wild Birds Unlimited I've ever been to, and I don't know whether I can say that without, giving a plug to other birding specialty shops. That's something that's springing up all over the country. They're very successful because people are paying more and more attention to birds. The number of birders in our nation far surpasses the number of hunters. I believe I read a statistic that was published by Pete Dunn quite a few years ago. And at that time, back in probably I don't remember the exact year of publication, for those of you that have read The Feather Quest by Pete Dunn, fantastic book. And at that time that he published that, there were 18 million registered hunters in the United States of America. 18 million hunters. And he blew my mind when he said that there were 70 million birders. And this was done by a survey from the National Wildlife Federation. So to find out that the numbers of birders were more than three times, let me do my math real quick, more than almost four times as many birds. I said I could math very well in the morning, and here I am messing up on that.
Yeah, it's always fun trying.
One of my former students has just texted in and said they have a pair of bald eagles on their property in Holmes County off Highway 51. Victoria, that is great news. Glad to hear that. I got to get up there and see if I can get some pictures.
I'm in your class right now. I'm raising my hand, sir. I'm sitting on the back row, but I do have a question regarding eagles. We've had so many questions about eagles this morning.
Yes, we have.
We're talking predominantly about the bald eagle, though. Mm-hmm. We have the golden eagle.
We do.
You have a war eagle. Is that true?
No.
So tell us about the different eagles.
Okay,
and what
we have bald eagles.
Between geography, where, who, what, when, where, and why.
The golden eagle is a western bird. It primarily nests on cliff faces and in mountainous regions on rocks. We, on occasion, and I would not be surprised at all, we on occasion, not quite on a yearly basis, but not too far from that, have golden eagles, usually seen up in the northeastern part of the state. I will say that I have seen golden eagle 3 times here in Mississippi. All 3 times were at Noxubee, the forest up in Noxubee County. Yes, they did. They did. I don't follow football outside of 7A very closely, but I saw that score. There have been some really big wins lately. My Madison Central Jaguars sadly bowed out early in the playoffs to a team that has since, I'm thinking, since been defeated. So, yes, both the only teams that we beat both of the teams that are still left in the playoffs. I'm shocked at the fact that things have gone the way they have. We should have been in there. Oh, well, we're not here to talk about football. We're here to talk about birds. Lots of good questions this morning. It got one here that I didn't get to yet. This may seem like a crazy question, but this is a person that drives through the Delta for work, and they have seen some birds that were in shallow water, about the size of a crane. Not the correct term. You were correct in your information there. About the size of a heron or an egret, that looked like flamingos. Well, if you looked closely, the beak of the bird was nothing like a flamingo. What I would like you to do, and you didn't give your name there, this is from the 662 number. You were looking at roseate spoonbills, and I would like you to look up roseate spoonbill. That's Roseate, one word, and then spoonbill is one word. Look up roseate spoonbill and see if that's not your bird. Beautiful, beautiful bird. They're often mistaken for flamingos just because of the pink color. We get regular phone calls from people saying, hey, we've got flamingos up here, and we show up and there are roseate spoonbills. I've never seen a flamingo. There has been one record of flamingo at the Ross Barnett Reservoir, and that's got to have been after a hurricane or some storm.
I figured you were going to say that was a mixed drink.
No.
Somebody had named the flamingo.
No, I know a few mixed drinks, but I've never heard of one called the flamingo. The only flamingos I have ever seen in the United States were flamingos along coastlines, and I never saw the bird that was out at the reservoir. Unfortunately, I would have loved to have had that for my Madison County list. That would be nice. And speaking of lists, for those of you out there hearing me talk about lists, a lot of birders keep lists, and they can vary anything from a yard list, what you see in your yard, and I have a yard list. It's over 100 species. People keep county lists, state lists, ABA area lists, national lists. I have a list, believe it or not, of species of birds that I have seen while I was watching football games live on the air. And probably the best of those was a Virginia rail that showed up at a Monday night football game. And it was so crazy. John Madden was on the air announcing, and they were talking about this bird. Looked like a chicken, Madden would say, and he would talk about the bird. And it was running around in the end zone during an NFL football game in a stadium with tens of thousands of people, and got to see a Virginia rail running around in the middle of the stadium. It was quite a sight.
Well, I have a trivia item for you here.
Okay.
Mike Heppy is called in, and he wanted me to ask you this piece of trivia. He goes, what bird do you commonly see in prison?
A jailbird.
There you
People, we make bird jokes and have funny names for things. Are you familiar with the greater metallic winged bird?
An airplane?
Yes, it would be. And they have different subspecies, the Delta subspecies, American, United, Southwest.
That's actually one I got, right?
Yes. And then you shouldn't confuse those with the lesser-winged metallic birds, because the lesser-winged subspecies Cessna and McDonald, they're smaller and easier to identify.
Easier to jump out of.
Yes, and neither one should be confused with the narrow-winged whirlybird. Those are all some favorites.
The spinner top whirlybird, right?
Well, I've not seen a spinner top whirlybird, and of course there is the two-winged whirlybird. So that's something that's out there. Hey, we're still going this morning. We've got another segment to go. Give us a call at 888-808-8637. That's 888-808-8637. Or send a text in to the C Spire text line, 601-879-4395. Tell us what you got in your yard. Ask us your questions. We're here on Garden Mama's Weekend Gardening Show, Super Talk Radio. And we're back. I'm going to go ahead and jump right in. That's a great song, and I want to listen to that one. But I'm going to jump right back in because we've only got one segment left this morning. I want to spend every minute that I can with you. I've loved being on this morning. Please give us a call at 888-808-8637. We haven't had a caller yet, Lance. Not one.
Yeah, we have. We've had four. They just didn't want to go on there. They wanted you to talk and listen while they...
I haven't been very eloquent this morning, so maybe we need some other folks to jump in and help me. We've answered questions. We've had a really fun time this morning answering your questions about birds, and we had a couple of questions about squirrels. So, and here's somebody that oh. Well, thank you. Here's someone that called in that says, Mr. Hackman, very much thanks for all you do and have done for the MCHS students. Okay. Now I know who this is. This is a grandparent of a group of young ladies that I've taught. Great kids, and I appreciate that sentiment. Shirley, that's really thoughtful of you. Send a little text in, and I have a great passion for sharing the little bit that I know with people of all ages, and especially children and young people. Most of the kids that I've taught are not children; they're young adults. But I really have a passion for sharing that information, and I'm even more grateful now to be able to come on Nellie's show, because I don't have that avenue. Now that I've retired, I don't have that avenue to share as much as I like to, as I have had in the past. Of course, right now I am doing some long-term substitute teaching for a former student who wanted me to come in to teach her students. And one or two of them may be listening this morning if they could get out of the bed early enough to talk on or to listen to the radio, which is highly doubtful with today's teenagers. Nice shot that's sent in by Jake Pettigrew, who found a Crider's hawk down at Henderson Point, down on the coast last week. And the Crider's is a subspecies, very pale subspecies of red-tailed hawk. We've got quite a few different subspecies of red-tailed hawk that are found in the state. Crider's is one that we see probably more often than the others. It's a very pale subspecies, and the other one that I have not seen in the state yet that I would love to is the Harlan's red-tailed hawk, which is a very, very dark red-tailed hawk. It's a beautiful bird. Both of them are beautiful birds, and they're very interesting to look at those different plumages and realize that they're the same species. But we could get into an entire discussion about the multiplication of species and its existence as one of the 5 tenets of evolutionary theory. Of course, I know not all students out there, not all listeners out there believe in evolution, but it's one of those topics that I love to discuss. One listener says, great show. Always enjoy when you come. I will, that's a great one, a hunting stand list. There's somebody that is thinking about making a list of the birds that they see from their hunting stand. I like that. A lot of hunters are birders, and a lot of birders do hunt. Bird populations, especially things like dove and duck and turkey, are helped out by hunters so much. In my early days of birding, there was a very noticeable set of conflict. That's not the right word. I'm not finding the right word that my brain wants to use right now. So, Dane Bramage, don't do drugs. Be good and don't harm the tool you have up there. Birds on a hunting stand. That's a great one. Bird watchers used to have more negative feelings toward hunters, and hunters thought, why are these birders trying to take us away from hunting land? Both groups have realized that they need each other. Hunters spending money for Ducks Unlimited or Quail Unlimited, some of the other groups that are out there, are finding that the money that is spent by duck hunters to join these groups is being used to set aside land for ducks to breed on, and that in turn is helping to provide housing and homes and habitat for other species besides just the ducks. Here's another listener that says they have 12 bluebird boxes on fences around the house. When's a good time to clean them? Andy, there's a lot of discussion about that. You can clean them after each nesting if you want to. I generally wait and clean them toward the end of summer, and you can put something in them to help them. A little bit of clean pine straw down at the very bottom, an inch or two of clean pine straw down at the bottom after you clean them out, so that they'll have a place to go in the wintertime. And of course, the bluebirds can fill up with pine straw as well. A bird box is more likely to be used if it's got something down at the bottom, and I like to just put a little tiny bit of pine straw down there, a little bit of other nesting material. Moss is a great thing to put down for attracting chickadees and the like. So I clean it out late summer. Probably around the October time is good. September, October is good. That's kind of early fall, but these days it's more summer than it has been in the past. So that's a great time. And I used to use a little tiny bit of Sevin dust in it to get rid of any lice or mites that might be in there, but of course that's not as easily available. So something that you could do, don't put chemicals in there that are bad. The Sevin dust you could brush out after you had it in there. I'm very careful about that. How many feeders do I leave up? I'll tell you what, Dot, you can leave a lot of feeders up initially in the wintertime, and then maybe trail it down, get the outside feeder out of the way, the ones that are further away. I like feeders to be clustered within 10 to 15 feet of each other. You get more hummingbirds that way because one bird can't rule the roost, so to speak. I like to leave a couple of feeders up, especially if you've still got some flowers out that are blooming. Things like pansies or something that blooms in the wintertime that you can put out. It's nice to have that color that attracts them. And if you can put something out, even if it's not real plastic, I'm not a big fan of plastic. I'm trying to get away from it. Plastic flowers or something that are red, cluster them out there and then have that hummingbird feeder available. They'll find it. If they're around, they'll find it. Now, I'm not telling you that if you put a hummingbird feeder up in the wintertime that you will definitely get a winter hummer. But you should go online and Google and find out the number of species of hummingbird that we've hosted here in Mississippi and look at pictures of some of those. They're absolutely stunning. The Rufus Allen's family of Selasphorus hummingbirds, the rusty colors that they have. We've got hummingbirds of all different colors that have been found in our state. The white-eared hummingbird, a beautiful bird that when we had ours, I believe it had never been seen outside of Arizona. I know that they've been seen in Texas and Louisiana now since then. So, no telling what will happen there. Andrea says she always enjoys when I fill in for Garden Mama. Andrea, I do too, and I really know that. Anything that can be sprinkled in the yard that will work on squirrels. Boy, that's not really.
Kittens.
Okay, you know that, and I've got to be careful because Garden Mom and I have absolutely opposite feelings on that.
Oh, I know I love ribbing her a little bit here and there.
Yeah, I am not a fan of outdoor cats, and I think that's a long road that we don't want to go down this morning. So maybe another day. I'm going to be back in December.
I set you up for a new topic.
Yeah, I'll be back in December, and right around Christmas time, listen out for me because I'll be back filling in for Garden Mama again, and she'll let you know when I'm going to be on. I want to say it's the 27th, but I don't know that for sure if that's a Saturday. Need to run. Loved and enjoyed it. Have a great day. Ken Hackman, the Birdman, here on SuperTalk Radio.
Mama on air at yahoo.com.